Hi, guys, and welcome to our review of The Mandalorian, Maketh Mandalorian, the season finale, episode 8, Redemption. I'm, of course, your host, Kees Cornelissen, joined by the usual panel of Nico and Chris. And what an episode to end the season with. That's what I can say for now. Nico, what did you think of this one?
Yeah, this episode had me on the edge of my seat the whole way through. A lot of twists and turns I might not have seen coming, but they all paid off in the end. And yeah, something big happened at the end that had us all going, no way, no way, no way. And
Yes,
we'll
way.
talk about that in a little bit.
Indeed. Chris, what were your thoughts?
Okay, I'm gonna turn fanboy off here for just a second and just simply say that going into this show, I know a lot of people were nervous. I myself being one of them because Star Wars has never tried live action as far as TV series go. But what a season and what a way to end the season! Holy crap! I loved it. And yes, we'll get to the collective fangasm towards the end of this conversation. But just for now, yay.
Yeah. I thought this episode was the perfect payoff to the setup that the rest of the season has been doing. Like, the season has been slowly setting up towards this, actually, these last two episodes. But of course, the last episode ended on a cliffhanger, and then in this episode, we finally saw what actually happened afterwards. This was the longest one out of all the episodes. This was 46 minutes, which, I mean, some of the episodes were 30 minutes, and it was like, that's a little short, but I'm so happy that we got a long one. I enjoyed pretty much every second of it. Had some great action, character moments, and yeah, the final scene. That is, yeah, we'll get to it. We'll just start off at the very beginning, where we see the scouts on the speeders with Baby Yoda at this time, and they go to a rendezvous point. And I hate these scouts instantly because they hit Baby Yoda when he talks or moves. And I'm like, oh, you're gonna get it. You're gonna get something your way. So when we get IG-11 in the mix in a few minutes later, I'm just so satisfied with how he takes them out. He saves Baby Yoda. By the way, they're trying to hit a target and they miss everything. Stormtroopers missing everything.
Oh, yeah.
uh, Chris, what were your thoughts in the opening scene?
Uh, okay, so if it didn't have the payoff that it did with IG-11, I actually wouldn't have liked this opening very much because, like, I liked the comedy, I liked the bit of realism of, like, seeing what what grunts do while they're waiting for orders, but I do feel the scene dragged out about 1 minute too long. Just because, like, there's ways you could have trimmed it, but simultaneously, I was so satisfied with how it ended, I didn't mind.
Yeah, Nico?
I enjoyed this very much so because yeah, it fits the stereotype that we're all used to of stormtroopers can't hit anything. And I would have loved it so much if when IG-11 had come up, that he's standing like 3 inches right in front of him. I wish they would have just pointed right at him, shot, and completely missed the mark. Like that would have been the perfect way to end the joke. Uh, um, but yeah, it was weird that that they talked for that long before something finally happened. But hey, that's kind of just how life works sometimes. Like you're always waiting on something to happen. Like hell, I make reservations with friends to go eat lunch, and then I like to say this time, and then 5 minutes later, someone's late. It's either me or the other person. So it makes sense in a real world context that this is how it would play out to me.
Fair enough. Yeah, and it did go on for a little bit, but I felt like this was essentially the quiet before the storm because a lot is about to happen. You know it's about to happen, considering like you all saw the last episode. So this is a little bit of a breather, and also like a bit of relief because the last episode, ended on such of a downer. We need needed this to start off at least good. Like, okay, at least our lovely baby Yoda that we all love and care about is safe. So that's one thing, because then we go to the group and they're still just hiding, and they can't really get out, and they're trying to find a way out. They attempt to go through the sewers. That doesn't work. And then Moff Gideon comes in and he tells them who they are. He knows exactly who they are, because apparently Kara is from Alderaan. Didn't know that yet. Maybe that was one of the reasons why she became a rebel shock trooper, because of the destruction of her home planet. And we finally get the reveal of Mando's name, Din Djarin. I think that had been revealed a while ago by Pedro Pascal himself, but now we finally get the confirmation in the show itself. That is him indeed, and he actually acknowledges, oh yeah, he knows me, and that is definitely Moff Gideon, because Moff Gideon knows my name. So then they set up a turret, and Gideon is like, okay, you got until nightfall, then we'll blow you up. Just surrender, and everything will be okay. That gives them, of course, a little bit of time. And then we get, of course, the full flashback of Din as a child. We already saw like the glimpses since the first episode, and we got more as the episodes progressed. Like they showed a little bit more. We at one point figured out he was attacked by separatists, but now what we see, attacked by separatists, his parents get killed by them, and the moment that one super battle droid finally finds him, he gets super battle droid gets shot down by a Mandalorian. They save him, and apparently they took him in. Chris, you're smiling. Tell us your thoughts.
Oh, not just any particular group of Mandalorians. This was Death Watch. Freaking Death Watch saved him. That is such a Dave Filoni move, and I love that entire bit. Like, of course, I was happy to get this glimpse again, and because again, this is the first time, at least for me, in canon history, where super battle droids were actually scary looking.
Oh yeah.
And the fact that they were able to illustrate that so beautifully with the massacre going on, and you're seeing people die left and right, and you're seeing people actually get shot by these things, and you're just like, ugh, yikes. But then Death Watch. Freaking Death Watch is who saves Din. Like, I'm like, what? Huh? Whoa! And I'm so happy that that this decision basically sort of put to point what the theme of this season really was, and that was the idea of identity. And yeah, as we established from the get-go, Mando is not born a Mandalorian. And that just sort of proves the point that Mandalorian isn't a race. Technically they are, if they're from the planet Mandalore, but it's also a creed.
That's where they originally come from, but that doesn't mean that every Mandalorian was born a Mandalore. You can become one.
Yeah. And that's one of the beautiful things about this show, is that they're so willing to explore that idea. I mean, hell, not every Sith came from the planet Dromund Kaas, but
of course,
the Sith became an ideology over a species.
Yeah.
So that was just one of the brilliant things about just Mando's arc and these flashbacks that I really appreciated.
Nico?
I actually didn't know until literally just now that was Death Watch.
Me neither.
You can tell by the armor.
Got it.
It looked a little too turquoise for me to have made that connection, but now that I know this, cool beans. And also I love how practical those super battle droids looked, because we're so used to the prequel era was full of a lot of CGI stuff, and so to see the super battle droids looking as practical as they did in this, it made me feel good inside. It just goes to show that they aren't playing around with this live action television format for Star Wars, because they've been so. You'll hear my thoughts in another video about the movies, and you mentioned identity, and there are a lot of thoughts about identity and the concept of it in the movies that I have to touch on. But in terms of television, I love that it's just like you're given a choice. Do you take the choice? and Din takes that choice as a child, and it shapes who he is through his entire existence. So much so that, like, I'm kind of moving on a little ahead here, but like he gets injured and he cares more about protecting the identity, the Mandalorian way, than he does his own safety. And through a loophole, he's able to keep both of those intact. But still, like, that one moment as a kid, he had a choice, he took it, and it shaped his entire existence from then on.
Did yeah. Well, let's just move on to what happens next. First of all, we officially hear that Quill is dead. And I was a little afraid that they would back off out of that and would still keep him alive, like the Marvel thing, like, oh no, he's dead, oh no, he's not, that type of thing. So I was glad that that we got the confirmation, but of course I'm sad that he's gone because it was a great character. But yeah, that you feel it, and it's like, oh, they actually killed off one of the crew. Could more of them die? Instantly, you get like a sense of danger that some more might actually die of the crew. And in a way, one does kind of get there. But then IG-11 comes in with Baby Yoda on a speeder bike, and this action sequence is just awesome. Like IG-11, like just speeding into the village, shooting everyone that he sees. No one gets a chance even, and we got an awesome action sequence where IG-11, of course, takes out a bunch of stormtroopers. The group decides to help him with it. Mando takes on some death troopers. Yes, just yes. He takes the turret to shoot all these troopers. Yes, but then Gideon comes in and shoots a thing right next to Mando that blows him up, or Mando, I should say, Din. And that really messes him up. But my God, this action sequence. Nico, did you love this?
Oh yes, very much, very much indeed. Like it you kind of just hit everything to talk about, but wow, just the most I can say is beautiful, beautiful scenery, beautiful destruction.
Well, and that's what you can expect from a director like Taika Waititi, who, sure, we associate him for comedy, but lest we forget, Thor Ragnarok had a lot of awesome action, and I'm glad that he was able to bring over those skills from working on that production to working on this show. And yeah, and I loved how there's a great sort of balance to this particular sequence, like how you start off where IG-11's just kicking all the butt, and then all of a sudden the group comes in to help kick even more butt. But Gideon still wins the fight, technically, because as soon as he takes out that battery pack for the turret and it all blows up in Mando's face, literally, yeah, the fight's over.
Fight is over, and Kara has to pull him out of there, has to drag him to safety. Luckily, now that they have IG-11, they can actually get through the sewer thing to get everyone out of there. And then Gideon orders a flame trooper to burn them out. Chris, how much did you love that flame trooper?
Actually, I'm not so in love with the flame trooper. I'm in love with what happens to the flame trooper.
Oh, the Force.
Yeah.
Explain.
I shall, gladly. So, yeah, in comes Mr. Flame Trooper doing his thing, and he's, doing some damage. He's really setting the building ablaze. But I don't think he took into account what Baby Yoda could do. And the fact that dear, sweet, innocent little Baby Yoda not only repels the fire, but sends it right back at him and blows him up. I'm like, this is why I love this show. Balance.
Absolutely. Now, to be fair, I did quite like the design on the flame trooper. I thought it was pretty cool. Might be just me. But yeah, he steps into the building. Baby Yoda uses the Force. I was like, yes, all the yes to this. And Din is now very injured. He actually refuses to get healed because he's like, yeah, I if I take my helmet off, people see me. But IG-11 through a loophole, convinces him IG's not a human, so Din accepts it, and we finally see the face. Nico, this is what you were talking about. So, what were your thoughts on this?
So the loophole I'm kind of iffy on because we've gotten so used to some of these droids in Star Wars lore. They have such like they have such a lively personality to each of them. Like C-3PO, you can deactivate him, but it feels like he's alive. He has a sense of humor. He has a personality. And so to keep saying "I am not alive" from IG-11, it felt a little weird because of what I said, because of all the droids that we've interacted with in the past, from C-3PO to R2-D2 to K2SO to BD-1, who's in the Jedi Fallen Order game. There's to Proxy in The Force Unleashed, which isn't canon, but still, like, we're so used to droids with. Hell, you can even make an Old Republic reference too. There are so many
HK.
droids with. Yes, HK. These droids have such unique personalities to them. So to just say "I am not alive," yeah, it's a good loophole to get him to take his helmet off, but it feels like it made me a little uncomfortable.
Chris, HK?
I mean, he is my bae, but, Nico does bring up a little bit of a point. In that, technically speaking, droids are property. No matter which way you try to divide it, no matter how you try to define it, in that regard, society does sort of rule them as, I'm not going to say lesser thans, as...
No. A lot of beings throughout the universe do see the droids as lesser, as servants, as just a tool for something, not much more.
You're right, and that's because they're not technically sentient. They're artificial. They are machines. It's the same thing as though it'd be like if my computer that's recording us right now was able to talk back to me. It's not technically alive. It's just zeros and ones with a spark of electricity that gives it power. So, but in fairness, I actually am also with Nico in that someone still saw you without your face, Mando, and the only reason that you can put that helmet back on is because of what happens later on in the episode.
Indeed. Anyway, they open up the sewer entrance finally. Now, first, Karga, Baby Yoda, and Kara go through. IG-11 stays behind to heal up. Din. And actually, IG-11 says Bacta. Is that the first time we've heard Bacta as mentioned in TV show or movies?
No.
No. Okay.
Clone Wars.
But in live action, I feel.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm just happy that we get a mention of that because it's a thing that I know from mostly the games, and I'm just happy to hear that in a live action type Star Wars situation because it's fan service. I'm a fan. I love to be serviced. Anyway, so Din and IG-11, when they're good, or at least Din is kind of patched up and getting better with the backpack, they go into the sewers. They meet up with the rest. However, then at one point they encounter Mandalorian armor stacked up, and it seems that all of them have been killed after the events of the finale of episode 3, where of course they all came out, and the Empire got to them. That was heavy. However, there was one alive. The female who made him the Beskar armor, she's still alive, and she tells what happens. She gives him a clan mark, a new clan mark, it seems, and declares that he will now take care of the child. And this was just me geeking out over the fact that it's Mandalorians. He gets a jetpack, and I was so happy with that. Chris, how happy were you with that?
Yeah, I was that. I was happy with the jetpack. I was happy with the new clan mark. I was happy that I guess sort of against his will, but not really. Mando is now unofficially, Baby Yoda's adoptive father. I loved all that. And
hearing that the Mandalorians died?
That hurt me. that actually hurt me. I'm like, damn it. But I appreciated that this happened because it just shows that the Empire, at least in this part of the galaxy, is still a threat.
Yeah, absolutely. And they take care of loose ends. They don't want loose ends. Nico?
Bad guys dealing with bad guys who actually create consequences for the actions of their adversaries. I can get behind that. Yeah, I find it funny that like they're just badges for everything. Like it's like Mandalorian armor doubles as a Girl Scout sash, and you can just like put, oh, you're a father now? Here, we'll put that on you. You just learned how to ride a bike. We'll put that on you. Your first jetpack. Here you go. There's a badge for that too. I'm making Chris laugh, and I love it so much. But yeah, I like that he finally got the jetpack too, because it felt earned. It was like, okay, we're waiting for this, and now here comes the big payoff. I like it, and I just want to like touch on when the stormtroopers come into the forgery, and it's just the blacksmith in there.
Yes.
She destroys every single one of them. One of them got thrown into the forge, which made me just smile and everything. I was like, yeah. Like, I just love how this show really highlights close quarter combat, because we're so used to seeing starship battles. We're so used to seeing force battles where people are just like holding their hands out, and in reality, they're really doing nothing because the green screen technology, like you can't actually shoot lightning out of your hands in real life. But like, I just love the realism of these fights that we're getting in this show.
And before I forget to mention,
you can't shoot lightning out of your hands. I never knew this. I thought that every time that I did it. Sorry.
Well, I mean, if you build up enough static electricity, you could make a little bit of a shock, but
Actually, what you said about like the stormtrooper into the forge, that reminded me a little bit of the fight where Rey and Kylo take on the Praetorian Guards in The Last Jedi, and one of them just gets smashed into one of the things. Like that was very similar. Another stormtrooper had his jaw completely ripped off by the hammer, and that was just awesome. So yeah, like that sequence. Chris.
Yeah, as I say, I'm sure if he had survived the encounter, he would need quite the industrial set of dentures, like another certain Sith Lord. But you know, it was funny.
That was quite a jaw-dropping scene, I'd say.
Get out.
I know, I don't care. Anyway, the blacksmith takes all of them out, and then we see that the group of our group is down to a lava river, and they're taking a little boat. And on the boat, they encounter what seems to be an astromech, but then it gets revealed that he actually has arms and legs. This, for the people who watch Rick and Morty, this reminded me of Pickle Rick. I don't know who watched it, but honestly, it looked like Pickle Rick, and it was funny.
A little bit.
Right?
A little bit.
But yeah, it gets revealed that he has arms and legs, and he could actually be a threat. But that was a little bit of a fake out. It was like, okay, thank you that you didn't do that, because it could have been a hostile astromech that actually did something, but it wasn't, and I was appreciative of that. But any of you guys have thoughts on the lava river and the astromech?
Not really.
It caught me off guard a lot.
No, and just let's just get to probably the most heartbreaking scene of the episode.
Oh, well, yeah, that's right after. Explain what happens.
Why not? I shall. So our group is continuing down the river. Merrily we roll along this horrifying substance, but Mando notices something in his infrared vision. At the end of the tunnel, which is all they have to get to in order to escape, there's a platoon of troops. And what are they going to do? Because as soon as they're exposed, they're dead. They have no cover in the boat.
Yep.
Until something that was quite the joke in episode 1 finally comes full circle, and IG-11 has a plan where he is going to walk out there and initiate his core self-destruct sequence. And you want to know something? This was probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire episode, because not only was this serious character growth for IG-11, this was serious character growth for Mando. Because, yeah, keep in mind, this whole entire show, what has he always said? I don't do droids. I don't like droids. Droids are bad. And we understand why now, because droids kind of kill his family and destroyed his home.
Yeah.
But as he's pleading, begging IG-11 to not do this, IG-11 points out that he is sad right now, and sure, he's trying to act all tough and macho, but inside he knows that IG-11 has to do this, and it's going to hurt. Because he started to form a connection with this droid. And holy crap, the scene is beautiful. Taika Waititi, I swear to God, man, you did this scene perfectly.
Nico?
Yeah, everything Chris just said. Like, it's cool to see that growth of the Mandalorian from having PTSD as a result of droids, like not wanting to be anywhere near them, to this droid having just saved his life like about 20 minutes prior, and now he's feeling sad that this droid is about to go sacrifice himself or itself for the sake of the family that we've been following throughout the series.
Yeah. And, IG-11 finally uses the self-destruct, which was a joke. It was such a funny joke in the first episode. But yeah, he uses it, takes out all the stormtroopers that were raiding, and the boat gets out. And when we think, oh, they're in the clear now, of course, who else but Moff Gideon is in his tie to ruin it, shooting at them. And then it's like, okay, the only way that I'm getting this guy is with my jetpack. So he puts on the jetpack, despite the fact that he had been warned not to use it yet until he was fully healed and ready. But yeah, he has to. And this reminded me a lot of when in the first episode of season 4 of Rebels, they it's the Heroes of Mandalore two-parter, I believe. When Bo-Katan used that trick to also take out TIE fighters. Why do I say her name like that? Well, we might have something to say about her in a little bit. But yeah, he goes up there, takes the TIE out with detonators. But of course, at this point, Moff Gideon isn't dead. Who thought Moff Gideon was dead?
Would have been wishful thinking.
Chris, I had hope.
Chris? What were your thoughts on the sequence anyway?
Loved it. I loved it. I loved how it paid off. I loved how it was just genuine, quick thinking on Mando's part to do this. And I appreciated the fact that he did it without hesitation, the fact that he did it without, thinking about the danger of himself. All he thought about was just trying to get Gideon off their back to essentially save Greef, Kara, and Baby Yoda.
Yep.
I love that.
I like that he wasn't a complete professional with the jetpack right away. Like it shows that he doesn't have a lot of experience with it. He does mention that he has some training, but not a whole lot of training. So I have a feeling, much like we saw with Sabine and the Darksaber in Rebels, we'll probably get an episode next season where he's just trying to learn how to use the jetpack and master it. And Baby Yoda's just sitting in the background watching, clapping when he gets something right, or laughing when he crashes. Something to think about, Favreau. Get to the writing. Good on him. Good on Mando for putting the needs of the family first above his own needs. And
wrong franchise.
I'm sorry, I'm stumbling today.
No, you're fine. You're fine.
It's okay, but yeah, the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few.
Or the one.
Anyway, other one. Yeah. But after this sequence, Mando takes Baby Yoda with him, takes off on his ship. Karga and Kara actually stay on Navarro. Navarro! And now we get by far my absolute favorite reveal in anything Star Wars, or one of my favorite reveals in anything Star Wars, because we go back to the tie where Gideon crashed. I knew that he was alive, but the way that we show he is alive, he has the mother effing Darksaber. Ah! Oh my god! Yes! Just yes! That's yes! That was such an amazing reveal that he has it. Which, well, we said it before, Bo-Katan is probably dead by this point, which sad, but yeah, how else would he have it, right? Which also, Chris and I were talking just before we got to the review, how interesting it would be to see a comic about either Bo-Katan or Gideon to show what happened there. I would love to. But Chris, the Darksaber, come on.
Wee. Yeah. So I saw that Sam Witwer tweeted out right before we went live. He was saying, I love this episode of The Mandalorian, but I'm disappointed by one thing. That saber is mine. Mine. And I'm like, well, Sam, it was yours until you were defeated. But either way, it's the goddamn Darksaber. Okay. Yes, as you mentioned, it is the Darksaber from the Clone Wars, from Rebels, and that thing has seen some history. And if that means we're gonna get more of this thing in live action, could this mean we're finally gonna get some closure on some Rebels stuff and some Clone Wars stuff? Yes, because Dave Filoni will make sure it happens, and I am so excited because it's the Darksaber. Okay.
Nico?
It's I feel like we're going to get a full episode of this in season 2, because obviously season 1 has done very well. So that means the budget for season 2 is going to be a lot bigger, and that means we can explore more next season. We can do like a flashback episode of how Gideon got a hold of the lights of the Darksaber. Excuse me. Where was Bo-Katan in all of this? Did she perish, or did she just suddenly drop it and Gideon was there to pick it up and take it for himself, because he seems like that kind of jerk who would just take things from other people and keep them for himself. But yeah, that was a crazy reveal. It looks almost like it does in the cartoon, 100% exactly like the animation of the blade and everything. Looks like it's straight out of the Clone Wars, straight out of the Rebels. I'm hoping we get a toy. Of that, because I don't think we've gotten a toy of the Darksaber yet. But yeah, this is a great way to end season 1. I can't wait to see what season 2 brings. I like that, and we didn't touch on it, but I like that Baby Yoda got to keep the Mandalorian necklace, which Mando was going to give up in case he didn't make it before he got the back to spray. So that was a nice little touch there. It shows the familial bond there, and it's just like the dice with Han Solo and the Falcon. I feel like that necklace is going to hold a special place for the show moving forward.
Probably, yeah. And as Chris said, I do think that this show will now tie more into Rebels because of this. Where yes, we can see more of Bo-Katan, and that's the thing. Apparently, Sabine was going to look for Ezra. Sabine is a Mandalorian. You could include her at one point. I really wonder who they would cast, but maybe Tia Sakura, maybe someone else.
Go with the actor. Go with the original actor.
But Tia Sakura doesn't really look like Sabine. That's the issue.
So what?
They can make it work.
Maybe. We'll have to wait and see about that. But honestly, considering this tie-in, I hope that there is more of the tie-ins to Rebels and show what happened, because that is something that I think this show has done so well, they sprinkle in those little flashbacks, those little hints to what once was, and they slowly reveal more as the episodes go on. So with this as well, I would assume that in season 2 we would slowly get some more flashbacks to what happened there, and I cannot wait to see that. So yeah, in terms of season 1, this was a great season of television. I feel the only disappointment I have that there wasn't more of it. I would have loved more episodes, longer episodes, of course. But yeah, at that point, I'm sounding entitled. Like I am very satisfied with what I got. I just wish I had more. That's really the only thing. Chris, what are your thoughts on season 1?
Ditto. Sure, what else is there to say? This is the first attempt by Star Wars to go into live action, and I think this is the best possible foot forward they could have gone with. I have literally no complaints. Sure, was every episode as great as this episode or the previous episode? No, but you're going to have that. So I'm just happy that the show is what it is and that it's become popular and that it is as beloved as it already is. And I don't think I change a damn thing.
Nico?
If I never get another Star Wars movie, I will be fine so long as we get all of Star Wars television. Like, I feel like we've got into it. We've entered a world now where Star Wars is better suited for long-term storytelling, be it through books, comics, television, or video games, because it's just too hard these days to fit something on such a grand scale in 2 to 3 hours. And television, video games, the books, the people who work on those, they seem to be more in communication with each other to make the stories wrap around and fit into place than the movies have shown as of late. So yeah, Mandalorian season 1 was a great start for the show and for Star Wars' journey into more experimental television.
Yeah, absolutely. And subtle jab at Rise of Skywalker. But
Take a
yeah,
shot for every time he does one of those.
Yeah, hey, to be fair, it clearly shows that there was no plan for the new trilogy after you've seen Force Awakens, Last Jedi, and Rise of Skywalker. And that there is a plan, of course, set up for a TV show because you need to do that. You need to have an overall plan where you're going with your TV show because it's going to be an episodical thing throughout several seasons. And with the movies, they were just like, let's make a movie. Let's make another movie. Let's make another movie. And apparently they didn't lay out the groundwork, even though they clearly knew they were making a trilogy. They should have done that groundwork. I hope to God that Rian Johnson does it with his trilogy because, well, to be fair, it's just him. And as long as it's just him, that should be good. But yeah, like in terms of Star Wars TV in live action, I cannot wait for more. This type of stuff makes me even kind of excited for Obi-Wan, which I have not been excited for. So that should tell you something. And of course, the Cassian series, I'm like, yeah, please, just show me more of these type of characters that we haven't really seen yet in the movies, because in the movies they're really focusing on the Jedi. Yeah, more characters that are not Jedi, that are set way away from what we already know, and show more stuff about the universe we don't already know. So I cannot wait for season 2 to happen. And I think that's all I can say. So guys, please let us know in the comments below what were your thoughts on this episode, on the entire first season, and what are your expectations for the next season. Because yeah, it might be a wait, but I already can't wait for it. So let us know what you think. Like the video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, and Nico, plug yourself.
Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, at Nico Suave, Regular, just Nico Suave with 4 random meaningless numbers at the end on Discord. Combat Wrestling Trivia on Facebook, Combat Wrestling Network on YouTube. The poorly made Twitter handle is at Combat Wrestling, the number 2. There is no letter G. I am the TMG Entertainment Chokeslam Wrestling Debate Champion of the World. And of course, you can find me right here on Dedicated to Art and all the places Kees and Chris have said or will say in just a moment. Trivia for Thon 2, 16 big matches from January 17th to January 24th. Whoo, boy, we're going to have a good time as we fight against pediatric cancer.
Indeed. Chris, where can people find you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Stardust, Letterboxd, and Discord at Skywalker Dome. And you guys can follow this great channel on Twitter and Instagram at D2A Channel. Please like our Facebook page, join our Facebook group, keep up with the conversation. Tune in to our latest episode of the Who Cares Anyway podcast, where we, big shock, talked very, 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 very in depth about the Rise of Skywalker. And, it's our last show of the year, so make sure you watch it.
Indeed, and you can find me. Well, first of all, I am in a Star Wars title match this weekend over at Movie Trivia Face Off. That's going to be exciting. It's going to be daunting. I hope I win, of course, because I've gone up for titles several times now, and I've lost all my chances, and I still haven't got a title yet, so I want one. So hopefully this will be the one. Check it out over at Movie Trivia Face Off. Face Off goes up this weekend, Saturday evening, I assume. It's a big event. Also, you can follow me at Dutch Movie Guy on Twitter, Kees Cornelis on Facebook and Letterboxd. We also review, of course, Star Wars Resistance on this channel, so check that out because The Mandalorian might be done, but Resistance isn't. And more Star Wars talk on the Who Cares Anyway podcast. It's a lot of fun. Check that out. And until next season, I would say then, manners, make it Mandalorian.
And may the Force be with you, always.
I have spoken.